everybody, and welcome back to my channel if you've been here before, and if you're new here, welcome. So it has been a hot minute since I have been on here to film anything. Life gets in the way, life gets crazy. You know, I did a lot of Facebook Lives, and I haven't even done those recently. Just life, you know, having a toddler and being in a new place where you don't have a whole huge, you know, background of support, I guess, makes it kind of tough when you want to do stuff like this. And my work schedule was crazy hectic at the studio that I was working at, so it just kind of never panned out. We also, you know, moved into a townhouse as opposed to the little 2-bedroom apartment that we were in, so now I actually have room to make the kind of setup that I want and be able to film stuff and do all of that. So figured I would get on and make a little video. Basically all I'm going to do today is just kind of go through my daily routine of my like skincare, you know, what I put on before my makeup. I've kind of been going with a lot lighter of a look, besides my eyes. I kind of always tend to go in a little more with my eyes, but I always think that I found great products that like I absolutely love, and then I go try something else and I kind of love that more. So like my products are always kind of ever changing, and you know, I kind of want to show you now here in January what I'm using. I know I did a Facebook Live on my private Facebook page of the products that I was using in 2018, but even again, just in a couple of weeks, it's completely changed now. Not completely, but definitely not using the same exact things. So, why don't we just get in and get started? So, I already went in and used this Ulta Beauty, the Ulta Beauty brand, gel cream moisturizer. They have a couple different ones. I don't know if you guys can see this. I don't know if my lights are too bright. Just trying to get in there and look. There we go. So I use this like as soon as I get out of the shower. I go right in, moisturize my face. Then after, I go in with this, again, Ulta Beauty, all of my skincare, the cleanser that I use, I have the makeup remover that I use, all of them are the Ulta Beauty brand. This one is a serum, so typically what I do is I go in next with this and just kind of get it all over. I have very, very dry skin in the wintertime, so I really need all of the help that I can get. So I typically go in a little bit, probably a little much with moisturizers, but it helps so that I don't have the crazy dry patches on my skin underneath my makeup. Now, you can probably see this. I do, and this is another reason why I've been switching makeup a lot of the time, is because I get cystic acne. So I get the really big acne spots, and I still haven't been able to pinpoint which product is doing it. So if I start to get cystic acne, I will start changing products. I was using a BB cream, and then I started using a foundation. It was the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation, and I feel like that might have been what was doing it, because I have it here, I have it here, I have one on my nose, so I kind of have to figure out what works for me and kind of switch it up. So I have recently been using the Physicians Formula. I don't know if this is, I think it's a foundation BB cream kind of mix, because it's not really heavy on the skin, but it does cover, like it will cover this up for me, but it's really light wear. It covers all the redness and everything like that. You're going to see it here in a minute. I am going to go in next, now that I let that serum sit. This is the Ulta Beauty Leave On Mask. I always go in with this kind of as almost like a primer before my primer, because this really locks in everything else that I just put on my face, and again gives me that extra burst of hydration. And sometimes if I'm feeling like I'm having a super drying day, I will actually mix just a tiny bit of that in, which it does say that you can do that on the package. You can mix it in with your makeup, kind of to help keep everything in place. Gonna go in with a beauty blender next, and some of my MAC Fix Plus. Can you tell that it's been a while since I've done this? I don't know how to talk, I guess. And I'm going in with the Catrice Prime and Fine, God, these lights are so bright. Catrice Prime and Fine Primer, and I really kind of just like to focus this in the areas where I have like larger pores or fine lines, so right here on my cheeks, right under my eyes. Okay, so now we've got you zoomed in so you can kind of see a little bit more of what's going on, and I turned on the lights just a little bit so they're not so harsh on me. I'm letting that primer sit for just a minute while I, you know, just to kind of let it sit and sink into my skin, so that way it's actually filling in the pores like it's supposed to, filling in those lines. So I go in with it just under here, right in here, right here, and right here. I know it seems like a lot, but it's really not. I'm pretty sure that all of the products that I use too, you can find at Ulta. A lot of them are drugstore products as well, so you can find them right at Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, whatever it is that you have nearby. So it makes it so that, you know, it's kind of all accessible, and a lot of the stuff is very inexpensive. I do have some higher end products that I use, but a lot of those typically tend to be eyeshadow that I go in a little more expensive on. As far as face stuff goes, I go through it so quickly, or I change my mind, that I don't like to go in with expensive stuff. You know, if I get through everything and kind of see that like none of the drugstore products I have are really working for me, then I will kind of move on and see if, you know, there's something that's a higher end brand that I might like, but I typically don't tend to do that a whole lot just because otherwise I'm throwing away money. So now that we have let that primer sit on our skin just a little bit, I'm going to go in and spray this again just so we make sure we have a nice damp beauty blender, and I'm going to go in with that Physicians Formula and just kind of put it right on the beauty blender. I may have just used a little bit too much, but we're going to make it work. The powder that I'm going to go in with, I'm going to go in with a beauty blender and powder right here first, but it's the Flower Beauty, I don't know if you can see this, the Flower Beauty Miracle Glow Satin Finishing Powder. Now, I don't like a very, very matte face because, again, I am dry and it makes those dry patches stand out, and I hate that. So, I like this powder because it's a satin powder, so it gives you a little bit of a sheen glow, and it doesn't make you look super dry. Again, going in with that Fix Plus, I usually have my beauty blenders very damp, and it is damp, but I always like to make sure I have a little bit of that on here because it does help keep the product on a little bit more. Like I said, now I'm going to go in right under my eyes, and I'm doing this because these are the areas on my face that do tend to get a little bit oily. So I go in and kind of bake it to make sure that that powder stays on. Plus this helps brighten up right under your eye a little bit more and kind of helps keep the makeup so it doesn't crease underneath your eye. And then I kind of just go in the rest of my face and just pat it in. You always want to make sure that you're setting your face with some kind of powder, whether it be a finishing powder like this, whether you use a dry foundation or a powder foundation, which I do have. I was actually using that a lot before I found this Flower Beauty stuff, and I do still like my powder foundation, but I kind of like this a little bit more because it's not as heavy as that powder foundation is on my skin. So if anybody wants to know what that is, I can do another video to kind of show you what it is that I was using. Now I do look a little white right now because I do have that powder settling right under here, and I'm going to leave that sit for a couple minutes. I am going to go in next. This I still have. I love this. I bought this last year at some point. I have broken it, actually. I broke that. I'm hitting pan on the Princess Cut, which is my favorite one. I use this kind of cooler tone shade is a contour, which I don't tend to contour a whole lot anymore, but I am going to just do a little bit of contour with that cooler tone right in that cheekbone right there. You can see it just kind of carves out those cheekbones just a little bit. I have gained weight, so I tend to focus a lot of my energy right into here to kind of make my face look a little bit thinner. That's my personal choice to do. You don't have to do that. You can just go in with a bronzer. Now, whenever you do your makeup, you always need to make sure that you're going in with some sort of blush or bronzer or something, because otherwise if you just put foundation on and then leave it like that, your face looks really flat and it's just not flattering on anybody. So this is also something that I have had for a very long time, the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. Love the smell of this, love the smell of the Park Princess. I'm a sucker for anything that smells good. And with this, I'm just taking a big fluffy brush and kind of going in and just bronzing up around the outside of my face so that I have color back in my face and I don't look so one-toned. You know, my face doesn't look so flat. And I bring it kind of down the neck and a little bit on the chest just to make sure everything's got a nice pop of color. And always make sure that if you're doing this, you're bringing it like right back into the hairline. Otherwise, you can see like where you kind of just stopped your makeup. And the best rule of thumb with doing a bronzer is to almost go in like a 3. Now, I don't technically do it that way when I'm doing my makeup, but if you can see, it kind of does give you that 3 effect. And now I'm just going in and buffing it out just a little bit so that it's not so like harsh all over. You don't want harsh lines when you're doing this, because then you can really tell that you have makeup on. And after I do that, I'm just going to go in and wipe off that excess powder underneath my eye and kind of blending that in everywhere else. So now you can kind of see I've got a little more color to my face. You know, it's not so flat white. I don't have that crazy white cast under my eyes now because I did just kind of buff it out, but it still gives me that nice center of the face that's a little bit lighter colored, a little bit brighter, so that, you know, it just kind of focuses in and makes everything look nice and polished and pretty. The next thing I'm going to go in with is a little bit of blush. This is the Tarte blush in Quirky. I actually did get this one out of Ipsy when I was still subscribed to Ipsy. I don't do it anymore. I've only used maybe 2 or 3 products out of my Ipsy bags, and I've been getting them since October, I think. I just didn't love it. It wasn't worth spending $10 a month for a bag if I wasn't getting anything of use out of it. You know what I mean? I stopped it in December, so like 4 months worth of bags or 5 months worth of bags, and I only use a couple products. It just didn't seem kind of worth it to me. I did forget to go in. I am going to go in and contour my nose just a little bit. Again, this is personal preference. I have a funny shaped nose. I have a big nose, so I kind of like to slim it down just a little bit. And I don't typically go in with a brush this big, but this is the only brush I have right now. Kind of just gives your nose a little something. And I'm just going to go back in and kind of bring the blush up on there. And go back in again and blend everything out. That's like the key to doing your makeup, is just making sure everything is blended. If you don't blend, it's all going to look very sharp lines and everything like that, and you just don't want that. I'm going to go in now with my MAC Fix Plus and actually spray my face. And I'm just doing that to set all of this powder down and to kind of start melting the powder into the skin and making it actually look like skin and not like you've got a ton of powder sitting on your face. Okay, so the next step I want to go in and do is my brows. I don't spend a lot of time on my brows. I have pretty skinny brows still, but I tend to more so go in and just kind of fill them in than anything else. So this is the Wet n Wild retractable brow pencil. I use a couple different products, but I typically go in with this one first. And I kind of brush the brows out. And I will go in then with the pencil side. And I'll kind of just go right underneath the brow and lightly trace along my brow hairs. And I'll do the same thing on the top. And I do this because I feel like when I do all of the steps that I take to my brows, instead of having that extremely harsh line where you can tell that you really drew on your brows, I feel like this just gives it makes it look a little bit more natural, because I still keep the brows pretty fluffy looking, because I do this part and then I just take a brow gel or a brow fiber. I do have a couple different ones. I have the Gimme Brow by Benefit, and then the Essence Make Me Brow, and both of them actually have little fibers in them to add, I guess, essentially eyebrow hairs in. So I'm going to go in with the Gimme Brow one, and all I'm going to do is just fill in the brow hairs, so right in between where I drew. I actually think this one is almost out. So after I fill all of that in, I go back in with that spoolie and I kind of just brush it out. And now I've kind of gotten rid of those, if I had any like harsh lines, those harsh lines are gone, and you kind of just have nice fluffy brows, and they look natural still. I hate unnatural looking brows. They don't look good on me. I look crazy if I have. What I want to move on to is eyeshadow. Now again, not everybody has time for this. Typically in the morning when I go to take Ollie to school, I still have my pajamas on. I usually typically wear sweatpants. I have a t-shirt on. I throw on a jacket. I normally don't do anything with my hair, and I sure don't have makeup on. So in the morning for me, I go to my son's school and I look like a mess. Now for work, I do actually take the time to get all of my makeup on. Typically for me, working in the studio, my work day, I have to be up between 3 and 4 in the morning, depending on what time I have to be to the studio and then go to a school. So I do always get up and actually put makeup on. Call me crazy. I just typically like to put, it's It's how I am. I like to wear makeup. I like to look put together. I take the time to do it, and it's kind of just become routine. On here, it seems like I'm on here doing my makeup forever, but that's because I'm on here explaining everything to you guys and, you know, taking the time to kind of go through the steps. When I do my actual makeup, I can do a full face of makeup in 20 minutes. So, you know, it seems like this is a really lengthy process, but it's not once you actually do it over and over and over and you're kind of doing the same steps every day. Even though I switch out products, I'm still doing the same steps. I'm still using the same steps every day when I do my makeup. So just keep that in mind when you're saying, well, I don't have time to do that. If you do it and you find things that you like and you can, you know, kind of practice on yourself, it really isn't that time consuming as you think it might be. So next I'm going to take on a beauty blender, and I have some on here right now, is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Eyeshadow Primer. Now I don't usually use primer, but because of the eyeshadow I am using today, you have to use a primer with it or it will not work properly. So I just go in, and this is a cheap primer. Like I said, guys, all of the stuff that I've used so far, you can find at Ulta. The most expensive thing I've used on my face so far is the Park Ave Princess and the MAC Fix Plus. Other than that, all of these have been drugstore products. So, again, you can do a really nice face of makeup for cheap. Just depends on what you like and how you like to do your makeup. So next, I'm gonna go in with my handy dandy blood sugar palette. Pretty soon you'll probably see another new palette pop up on here. I have the blood sugar, I have the Thirsty palette by Jeffree Star. He is coming out with a new one in March, I believe. So you'll probably end up seeing another Jeffree Star palette make a debut on here. I use my Thirsty palette. I still have the Jaclyn Hill palette by Morphe that I use religiously, and I also, which is mostly what I'm going to use today, is the James Charles X Morphe palette. I am going in with Sugarcane. You can tell that I have used Sugarcane a lot. It is the one that is hit pan right here. Next I'm going to go in with, I think the shade is called Punch Me. This nice kind of light brown shade right here. Come on, camera. I'm going to go in with that, and I kind of just go in with this big packing brush, pick it up on the brush, and I really just kind of focus it on the outer corner of my eye. I'm actually going to zoom you guys in on the eyes a little bit more so that you can kind of get a better idea of what I'm doing. I know it doesn't look like there's much on there right now, but I did go in with that Sugarcane color and then the Punch Me color, so I do have a little bit of color on there. I don't want to go crazy because I typically just keep it nice and neutral, and then I'll go in and do a winged liner. Next, I am going to go in with this taupey color right here, which is Benny. And I'm just going to take that, same thing I did before, and focus it right on this outer corner. Now I do typically tend to keep my eye as a smoky eye every day. It really, if you look at pictures, now, like I said, it doesn't look like there's much on there, but I kind of like it that way. I like to have just that really nice, soft, smoky eye look, and, you know, use a nice winged liner to kind of finish the look. I am going to go in with a little bit more of this primer, but I'm actually going to put the primer right on my hand this time, like this. And I'm going to go in with a little flat concealer brush, or I think that's what this is. I don't know. Oh, this one, of course, doesn't have the Morphe number on it. And I'm going to go in with that, and I'm going to kind of cut the crease right here. Now, it doesn't look like much. I do typically cut the crease with a concealer, but I did not grab my concealer. So we're just going to work with what we've got here. Okay, now we're going to go back into the James palette, and I am going to grab the color Flashback, which is this matte, big matte white pan right here. And I'm going to take that right on my finger, swirl it in. I've got just a little bit on the finger. And I'm going to go right in where I just put that primer on, and I'm just going to lightly tap it in. I realized I'm using my middle finger, so I look like I'm flipping you off. So we're going to go in with another finger. And I'm just going to kind of build that up to the color that I want, which I don't want it too bright. I'm going to do the same on the other eye. Now, if you're doing your makeup and you're looking at it and you're like, this looks terrible, always remember that it will all come together in the end. So you're doing your makeup and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the worst. Because I know I look crazy right now. It all comes together in the end. I'm going just back into that James palette, taking that nice light brown color, and I'm just going to sweep that on to blend in that white and brown on the inner corner, or the outer corner, I should say. Just so that it, again, doesn't look like there's harsh lines where it's just like the white just randomly stops in the middle of your eye. It's hard to tell again, but just a very nice, light, smoky, very neutral kind of eye. And I just kind of want to go in and make sure everything is nice and blended. And onto one of my favorite but least favorite steps is liner. We're going to zoom you back out a little bit. While I'm kind of waiting for the eyeliner just to dry down, I realized that I forgot to do highlighter on my face. So I do want to go back in and do highlighter. I always like to have my face a little damp when I put highlighter on, and I also like to just kind of dampen the brush a little bit. My favorite highlighter right now is the ColourPop Smoke and Whistles. I love this highlighter. I go in with just a very light hand and hit all of the high points on my face, and give just a nice little glow. And then typically after I put that on, this is why I said I realized that I kind of made a mistake, because typically I'll do my highlighter first and then I'll go in with my blush. So I am just going to go back in with a little bit of blush and just kind of blend that together a little bit. That way you don't have like a white cast on your face or any harsh lines from the highlighter being on your face. Okay, so now that that liner is dried down, I'm actually going to take a black waterproof pencil. So I personally love this stuff because I like just the liner on my top lids. On the bottom down here, I actually go in with whatever the color is that I have on the outer corner. So in this case, it's this nice little brown color. I go in underneath my lashes here on the bottom and just smoke this out a teeny tiny bit, just so it kind of meets up and all kind of flows seamlessly together. Now, I do see a lot of people when they smoke out the under eye, they bring it all the way over. I personally like to kind of stop it halfway, and I'm just going to go in and buff it out. And it just kind of puts your eye together a little bit more. At least that's what I think anyway. Before I go in with mascara, I am going to go in with this ColourPop Super Shock eyeshadow in Ladybird. And this is just a absolutely, let me turn this down just a teeny bit. This is just an absolutely beautiful shimmery color. And I like to pop this right on the inner corner of my eye. Right there. Just to brighten up, and then I kind of just drag it just a tiny bit up the eye. Just to give me just a really pretty light shimmer. I don't know if you can catch it. Yeah, you can catch it on camera. Right there in the inner corner. It brightens up your eyes a little bit, makes you look a little more awake, and I think it just looks super pretty. So for lashes, I am going to go in. This is a Stila product. Now, of course, pretty sure everything is like worn off the outside, but again, this is kind of like the eyebrow stuff that I use with fibers. If anybody's familiar with Unique, it is kind of the same concept. This is actually like a brown mascara with little fibers in it, and I'm just gonna go in and run this on my lashes just to give a little bit more fullness to my lashes when I put mascara on. While I'm letting that kind of dry on my lashes, I am going to go in. I don't typically put a lip color on. I typically just put a gloss on. But I am going to go in with this NYX Lingerie. What color do we have? Bustier. I like very mauve-y looking colors on the lips. I do have another lip product that I do like, but I don't know what I did with it. And now I'm going to go in with, I'm going to finish it up and go in with the Essence Lash Princess Mascara. I love this mascara. This thing is like $4.99. It is one of my favorites. I kind of choose this over a lot of stuff. And there you have it, guys. There is the finished look. You know, like I said, it might seem like it took me a while to do it, but being on camera, it does take just a little bit longer to kind of do everything and explain it and all that kind of stuff. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope to be on here a little bit more often than I was, and hopefully not take another 6-month break from recording. I will see you guys soon, and if there's anything you want to see, if there's any products you want to see, drop a comment below and let me know, and hopefully, you know, we can get some more videos rolling on here. Hope everybody has a good day. Bye!